Have you ever heard a story that's both spooky and incredibly heartwarming? Today, I want to share one that might just change how you see Halloween. It takes place in a place you least expect to find a ghost story. A children's hospital ward. So, grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's journey to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, or at least a ward very much like it, where one Halloween night became a local legend. Our story begins on a crisp October 31st. The halls of the pediatric oncology ward were quieter than usual. Many of the young patients, those well enough, had gone home to experience the magic of trick-or-treating. For those who remained, the dedicated nurses and staff did their best to bring the Halloween spirit to them. The ward was adorned with cheerful decorations, smiling pumpkins, friendly ghosts made from white sheets, and strings of orange and black paper bats. The atmosphere was one of gentle festivity, a brave attempt to create normalcy in a place defined by its opposite. In the center of the ward was the playroom, a sanctuary filled with every toy a child could dream of. There were building blocks stacked in colorful towers, dolls waiting patiently for a tea party, and a beloved wooden rocking horse named Comet, with a worn saddle and a kind, painted-on smile. This room was the heart of the ward, a place where laughter, for a little while, could drown out the beeping of machines. On this particular Halloween, as evening settled in, the playroom was empty. The toys sat silent and still under the soft glow of the nightlights. The first person to notice something unusual was a veteran nurse named Maria. She'd worked the night shift on this ward for over 15 years. She knew its every sound, its every shadow. As she was doing her rounds around 10 p.m., she passed the glass-walled playroom. She paused, thinking she saw a flicker of movement out of the corner of her eye. She peered inside. Nothing. The room was just as it had been left. Shaking her head, she chalked it up to fatigue, a common companion on long night shifts. But about an hour later, a younger nurse, Ben, came to find her, his eyes wide. "Maria," he whispered, "you need to see this." He led her back to the playroom. This time there was no mistaking it. Inside the empty locked room, things were happening. A set of colorful building blocks was slowly, methodically, arranging itself into a wobbly tower. On the other side of the room, a doll was gently rocking back and forth in a tiny rocking chair. And, most astonishingly, Comet, the old wooden rocking horse, was swaying gently on his own, as if an invisible child were riding him into a gentle dream. Maria and Ben stood there, mouths agape, a mix of fear and wonder washing over them. They weren't alone for long. The quiet commotion drew other staff members. Soon, a small group of nurses and a night-duty doctor stood gathered outside the playroom, witnessing the impossible. There was no wind, no drafts, no strings attached. The toys were moving with a gentle, playful purpose. The plastic rings on a stacking toy were being placed on their post, one by one. The little cars were rolling slowly across the playmat, careful not to crash into one another. Instead of panic, a strange sense of peace settled over the staff. Maria, who had seen so much in her years on the ward, was the first to voice what they were all starting to feel. "It's the children," she said softly, a tear tracing a path down her cheek. "It's our kids who couldn't go home for Halloween. They've come back to play." The idea, as strange as it was, felt right. These weren't malicious spirits. The energy in the air was light, joyful, and innocent. It felt like the echo of 1,000 happy moments that had once filled that very room. The staff watched for over an hour. They didn't see any figures or apparitions, only the joyful dance of the toys. They saw the spinning top whirl on its own, the toy train chug along its plastic track, and the pages of a picture book turn as if being read by tiny, unseen hands. It was a silent, beautiful party, a secret celebration for those who could only attend in spirit. The nurses began to whisper stories about former patients they remembered with fondness. They talked about Lily, who had loved that specific dollhouse, and young Sam, who could spend hours building the tallest block towers imaginable. They imagined him now, finally finishing his masterpiece. As the clock neared midnight, the activity began to slow. The blocks settled into a final, triumphant tower. The rocking horse gave one last gentle sway before coming to a complete stop. The doll in the rocking chair stilled. By the time the first chime of midnight echoed from a clock down the hall, the playroom was silent once more. Every toy was back in its place, perfectly still, as if nothing had happened at all. The only evidence of the night's events was the perfectly built block tower and the shared, unbelievable memory of the staff who witnessed it. The story of the Halloween hospital ward spread in whispers among the hospital staff in the days that followed. It was never officially reported, of course. How could it be? But it became a cherished piece of folklore, a story told to new nurses to remind them that the ward was more than just a medical facility. It was a place of love, memory, and an unbreakable spirit. Some nurses claimed that every Halloween since, if you listen closely, you can still hear the faint sound of laughter from the empty playroom, a gentle reminder that for some, the invitation to come back and play is never rescinded. This story teaches us that love and memory are powerful forces that even the walls of a hospital can't contain. It suggests that on a night like Halloween, when the veil between worlds is said to be at its thinnest, perhaps it's not the scary things that cross over, but the joyful, loving spirits who just want one more night to play. It's a comforting thought, isn't it, that those we've lost might still find moments of simple, innocent happiness. So this Halloween, if you see a light flicker or hear a strange noise, maybe don't be so quick to be scared. It might just be a happy memory, stopping by to say hello. What do you think? Do you believe in gentle hauntings like this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading your stories and perspectives. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more tales that explore the mysteries of our world. It really helps the channel grow. Until next time, stay curious and take care.